Well, all of these Trump cultists are really upset that Tish James was successful in proving he's a fraud. He now has to pay millions, upwards of $500 million, y'all, with interest and things along those lines. Plus, you throw in the E. Jean Carroll, another $83 million. Homie going to have to sell some stuff. But I want to show you, again, how delusional these people are. Here's Kevin O'Leary. You see him on the Shark Tank. This is literally what he says to Neil Cavuto on Fox News regarding this issue.
This award, I mean, just leaving the whole Trump thing out of it and seeing what occurred here, and I'm no different than any other investor. I'm shocked at this. I can't even understand or fathom the decision at all. There's no rationale for it. And so let me give you a real-time experience I'm having regarding this, and I'm not the only one. It doesn't matter what the governor says. New York was already a loser state. Like California is a loser state. There are many loser states because of policy, high taxes, uncompetitive regulation. It was already on the top of the list of being a loser state. I would never invest in New York now, and I'm not the only person saying that. And here's a real-time situation. In development in real estate right now, the hottest asset class is very high-end data centers. They cost anywhere from $2.5 to $3.5 billion each. They're very expensive. They require low power. You need permits, but most of the major institutions in the world need more data centers, and that's why developers like me are doing this. Now, you need power. So New York has Niagara Falls. Normally, you'd consider that to put in one of these facilities, create 400 jobs, 5 more jobs for each of one of those for auxiliary services. I can't go to New York. So I'm going to Oklahoma, North Dakota, West Virginia. Governor Stitt, Kevin Stitt, my staff have met with him. Governor Burgum, the same thing. Governor Justice. Those are winner states. They don't do things like this. I have to syndicate that debt and all that equity. We're talking billions of dollars here. Do you think any foreign institution or any private equity firm or any pension fund would touch New York? No. And that's why New York...
I can't listen to any more of that babble. Y'all, here's why this is all BS. I don't know who the hell he think he's fooling, but you cannot be in the financial industry and you acting like you ain't got nothing involving New York. So that's stupid. And the thing that also cracks me up is how these people literally are defending a crook. Here's Jessica Tarloff taking them to school on Fox News. Watch this.
From me. So, since Donald Trump ran the first time, he has been making this argument, if they could do this to me, they could do this to you. The average person is not inflating their wealth by $800 million to $2.2 billion. They're not sexually assaulting women. They're not storing classified documents in the toilet. They're not fomenting an insurrection. Mar-a-Lago, you remember the documents?
Let's focus on this case. We can do a lot.
You always do that.
No, Jessica, you're doing a laundry list.
Really? You just said Judge Edgar on this too.
When we're focused on one topic.
From me.
See, they can't stand it when she's running these facts down. And the reason I just find this being an incredulous joy, because, this is the party of law and order. And then I love this. There was no victim here. The banks weren't the victim. Let's be real clear. If any one of us did what Donald Trump did, we're getting convicted. And we're probably going to get charged criminal. Criminal, not civil. But for these people, he can do no wrong, and they're perfectly fine with him being a massive liar, cheat, and a fraud.
Correct, because they know they are massive liars, cheats, and frauds. And that has worked for them. It has worked for them for not just decades, it's worked for them for centuries. Many of them are wealthy. Much of the industry in New York and in cities across this country. Some of them were built on honest work. Some of them were built off the work of honest people, right? Off the backs of honest people and off these types of economic games playing white collar crimes that they've gotten away with, that everyone's looked the other way because it benefits them. And this is just one time they ran into somebody who wasn't raised on that, who wasn't interested in it, and who shut it down. This is why you have to vote. Who is in power matters. Roland says it every night. I'm saying it tonight. It matters because when you're in power, then you have the opportunity to hold people accountable and say, what you've been doing before, you can't do it now. You're going to have to be an honest broker. You're going to have to be an honest broker.
Right. I mean, Candace, and to say that, oh my God, you know, this what the judge ruled was weird. No, the judge was kind of clear. Dude, you claim your penthouse in Trump Tower was 33,000 square feet. It was 11. It was 11. They showed how Eric Trump was saying, no, we're going to say the assets are worth this here. They were flat out lying. The reason folks like Kevin O'Leary are upset because all the people in New York may have to stop lying. They have to start telling the truth because they could be inflating their assets to qualify for loans.
Yeah, let's talk about the numbers. The numbers don't lie. It was on the paper, and that's why the judge was so convicted in what he said that I'm looking at the numbers here, and clearly you inflated them. There's a whole trail. There are those numbers right there. But Roland, on the other side, there are some different numbers, and that's why the public relations campaign has begun. And that is that when you do look at what Trump is doing and how people are still receiving him, he's not losing. He's going to be the Republican candidate. And so for people who believe that he is still their God, they are still following him. He sold out 1,000 sneakers for $400 a piece for a reason when we know that his base is not the base can afford those sneakers. So we're looking at a lot of things and competing forces going on. But the bottom line is that the public relations campaign has begun. Here's some other numbers, too. How can you get away from the numbers on Wall Street and the stock exchange and try to just disregard New York City as being the center of the universe when it comes to money and how money flows in and out of not just New York City, but the country and the world? This is where people go to. It's all in the numbers. The numbers are just not adding up for Trump right now, but we are beginning another public relations campaign.
Omakongo, this is where you have to hammer him on you are a cheat, you are a liar, you are a fraud. Because that's what he is. And clearly for these cultists, they don't care. They don't mind it. They think everything is awful. So when he said, I can shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and I'll be able to get away with it, he's right, because they are absolutely deranged people. And what we have to understand is if these deranged people don't care about any of these trials, any of these decisions, we got to say, we damn sure got to go out and vote to keep y'all crazy asses from being in power.
Every single day is a new advertisement on why we should not be voting for this man and why we have to continue to spread the word. And, for that guy O'Leary, talking about, the poorest states, and he's talking about going to West Virginia. It's one of the top 10 poorest states in the country or somewhere on the list. And so, these guys even lie about those facts. And you are right. There are minions every single place in the government, kind of going back to our first segment about the judges, whether we're talking about, Mike Johnson and look at everything that he's doing to hold the country from moving forward. So we're talking about in the Congress, we're talking about on these shows, they're sitting here talking about this makes no sense. I mean, Trump was charged with, under Letitia James, if I am correct, under the Martin Act, which came about in the 1920s. It's one of the harshest fraud types of laws in the United States. And that's what they got Trump on. All of these charges that Trump is being brought on are laws that came, decades and decades ago. And he's a hustler, plain and simple, bottom line. And so the way in which Letitia James, made this so strategically in terms of how she brought it up to charging him, it was extremely powerful. And Goran had already ruled that he was a fraud prior to this decision last week about how much he was going to owe. And we have to basically ask a simple question. If you can't run your business, how you going to run the country. Even above all of the racism and all of the homophobia, the sexism, all of the real things that we have to worry about with Trump, the fact of the matter is people elected him the first time because they thought they wanted a businessman to run the country. He can't even run his own businesses. Period, bottom line. That's the only real advertisement you need that should come from this. And I hope some of these super PACs out there supporting Biden are already running those ads so I can share them too.